to Laurie-Ann, I had a huge task ahead of me. I had to write and deliver my TEDx talk. I am Trupti Karshani, artist and a creative coach. It was really hard for me to distill my story and give a TEDx talk around how art helped me cure my perfectionism permanently. That's how I arrived at Laurie-Ann's doorstep. So Laurie-Ann actually came highly recommended to me by my business coach and a few other business friends that I have. I have to say that their recommendation was absolutely right because within the first meeting, she got me completely relaxed around my TEDx talk and got me to start writing my TEDx talk. She looked through my draft and gave me really important feedback points that helped me polish my TEDx talk. So this was important for me to have Laurie-Ann as a coach to work with because it really helped me to have a soundboard to discuss my ideas and to get feedback. It's now on YouTube, and I really enjoyed the time that I worked with Laurie-Ann.
Hello, all my Be in Demand listeners. This is a special speaker breakthrough session. So if you're a coach, a consultant, or a service provider, you are in the right place because this podcast is all about how to leverage public speaking as your best form of marketing. So you get positioned as the expert, get to showcase your expertise, and attract perfect clients. Today, we have Kevin Lowe. He recently joined my email list and replied to a number of my emails, so I invited him to book a speaker breakthrough session. And if you would like to book your own speaker breakthrough session, stick around to the end and I will share with you exactly how you can do that. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Oh my goodness, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm glad we're doing this speaker breakthrough session. So Kevin, tell me what you do.
Yeah, so I call myself both a podcast host as well as an inspirational public speaker.
Okay, inspirational. I'm just taking down some notes here. And who do you serve?
Well, that's probably one of the things we need a breakthrough on. But I think one of my biggest groups that I feel like I could really have an impact on are like Christian entrepreneurs, Christian business leaders in that spectrum.
Okay, why Christian entrepreneurs?
Well, I'm a Christian. A big part of my story, and I feel the impact I can have relates back to that. So that if we want to get real niche down, I would say that. But I honestly feel any type of entrepreneur, honestly, I mean, I could help using what I've gone through. So
yeah, okay. I love it because it's specific. And also
yes.
there are a number of Christian speaker bureaus.
Okay.
So very specific. You know, I know like for myself, you know, we were both talking before I hit record, you know, that, you know, we have a place in West Palm. You're in the Daytona area. There I go, messing up my own words. And I know that I've attended some Christian conferences, Christian talks from very specific speakers down in the Fort Lauderdale area. Some of the big churches will bring in these phenomenal speakers. So that is another, and that's how I learned about these Christian speaker bureaus. So I love how specific that is. And tell me a little bit about your story and what you've gone through.
Yeah. So my story really starts back in 2003. So at the time I was a teenager, so a junior in high school. As I always like to say, you know, life was going great, just living life like a normal teenager. And then came the news that I had a brain tumor. And and the thing is I thought the brain tumor was the big thing. Luckily, we found out the brain tumor that I had was non-cancerous. Although due to its size and position, they literally said that without its removal, I had at most 6 months to live.
Okay.
And so everything was going to be great, though. I was assured we'd go in for surgery, tumor would be removed, I'd be back to school in 3 weeks, everything would be great.
Yeah.
Instead, I came out of that surgery to be left completely blind. And so I came out completely blind, along with a host of other medical issues due to damage that the tumor caused. And so that moment in time was kind of the end of life as I knew it and the beginning of a new life.
Okay.
And so today, that story is pivotal in what I do today, because I use that as kind of what I've gone through is become my mission of wanting to use what I've gone through to be a source of inspiration and motivation to others.
Yes. And so I come from healthcare, Kevin. So more specifically cardiology, but knowing what I know about healthcare and operations, they put you to sleep and you close your eyes and you can see the world. I'm just thinking of like what happened to you, and then to be in that recovery room and open up your eyes and be like, why doesn't somebody turn the lights on?
Exactly. Exactly.
So tell me, what kind of speaking have you done so far?
So primarily the bits of speaking that I've done have revolved around speaking in front of different churches that I have spoken at. And then I've done some smaller kind of networking groups that I've spoken in front of, like a local like Chamber of Commerce meetings. And primarily that, along with I've done like one speaking engagement I had somebody did like a kind of like mini documentary on my story that I spoke at. And other than that, that's it for like in person. The rest are just like guesting on other podcasts.
Okay, perfect. And guesting on other people's shows and also having your own show that's a form of speaking. That's fantastic. Yeah. So you'd really have this inspiring story, which like in the speaking world, we actually say like, oh, nothing good ever happens to me. Like I've never been on a hijacked plane or like climbed Mount Everest or woke up permanently blind one day. But that is what speakers actually think.
Yes.
My next question for you is, when you do speaking, what is the lesson that you share with the audience? What can they take away after hearing you speak?
Yeah, I think one of like kind of a unique angle of it is this idea that so many times we all have our own kind of like limitations. I mean, maybe not everybody's, quote unquote, like disabled, but we all have something that we think of as kind of like our weakness. And what I really hope is that people can maybe have their eyes open to the fact that maybe that weakness, that perceived limitation, could in fact maybe be like their hidden advantage. Maybe it's the thing that sets them apart from everybody else.
Your weakness is your advantage. I'm just writing this down. I love that. And I'm sure that you got so many different examples. I mean, not just your own, but how has being blind actually helped you? How has that turned into your advantage?
Oh my goodness. Well, I wasn't sure how it was until I started my podcast. And before starting my podcast, I had been a travel agent for 7 years. And I always say that was me just constantly swimming upstream, trying to make something work. When I started the podcast, I realized the power of my quote unquote disability, turning it into my superpower, was getting to hear people on a different level. And through podcast interviews, I kept having my guests tell me at the end of the show that, like I saw parts of them and their story that no one else had ever seen before. Wow. And even just in person, I'm known in my family and circle of friends, like, you need somebody to talk to, like, talk to Kevin, because like he just sees things differently. And
literally.
Yes, exactly. And I often joke now where, I mean, whether it's just the world around us or it's people, I'm always like, you sighted people, like you should close your eyes more because I'm seeing way more than you guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you want to get in front of more Christian entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I would love to. Yes.
Okay. So getting in front of a speaker bureau, I think is going to be very advantageous for you. Now, the thing with speaker bureaus is you might have to build a relationship with somebody at that speaker bureau. Now, the speaker bureaus are basically made up of salespeople.
Okay.
And you're going to have somebody who would end up representing you. So you could start to build a relationship with somebody. And I have this theory called open the door to the conversation. It's how you get booked to speak just by gathering information about different events. And I think you could use the same approach to find somebody to represent you at a speaker bureau, or at least to start to build that relationship. And this is what I mean by build that relationship. You need to know, like, what do I need to do to get you to represent me? I'm like, one, they're going to have to see you speak. You know,
Yes.
do you have a video of you speaking from beginning to end on a stage?
I do not.
Okay. So we're going to need to make that happen.
Yes.
And that's probably not as hard as you think it is. The church
Okay.
that you go to, because I would imagine that you do go to a church,
Yes.
why don't you get them to organize an event? Is there a men's group?
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, that is true. Thinking of the groups within the church. That's
Yeah.
brilliant. Yes.
I mean, you could be speaking to the men's group, the women's group, any other, there might be even a youth organization. There's got to be. So, yeah, like finding out all the other groups and like, why don't you just start speaking at your own church? For
Yeah.
starters, get it filmed, get some great pictures also from that. And then from there, whoever's running your church knows other pastors, priests in other churches. Where else can they refer you to?
Yes. Yes.
So you're building a name in your own backyard. And I'm saying all this because this is going to help you build that relationship with a speaker bureau.
Okay.
Because
Now,
go ahead. Ask me a
if
question.
if you don't mind if I ask the most basic of stupid questions,
Go ahead.
can you explain what a speaker bureau even is?
Oh, okay. Yes. Thank you, because there might be people who are listening to this later that might be like, what's a speaker bureau? So a speaker bureau is basically like big companies and big conferences might call the speaker bureau. We are looking for a speaker on AI, marketing, and they're going to go through their database of speakers. So in other words, like I'm just making one phone call instead of having my assistant search the internet looking for speakers. And then I got to go watch all of these speaker reels and interview all these people where I can just like, hey, I'm just going to call my person that's at this company. There are so many speaker bureaus. But
Okay.
there's also very specific Christian speakers.
Okay. Interesting. Fascinating. Okay.
But
That makes
you're going to
total
have to
sense.
have some experience in order to get them to
Yes.
represent you. So that's why I'm sort of suggesting you're going to do two things at once. You are going to open the door to having a conversation with somebody at one of these Christian speaker bureaus just to find out, hey, I'm just starting out in the speaking world. I've got a great story. I'm working on my speech. And what's it going to take for your organization to represent me? They may say, well, you need to speak like 50 times. I need to see some footage of you speaking. Okay. I'll be calling you back.
Okay.
They'll tell you what they need. Okay. And so then at the same time, you're going to speak to every group that's in your church. And then you're going to ask the person who brings you in for that group, whoever runs the group, because that may change from like year to year, kind of like a president of the group. Like, who else do you know? Because everybody knows somebody else, like in another church.
Yes.
Okay, so that's how the word of mouth can get you someplace else.
Okay.
I was just talking with somebody, like I help people like write and craft their signature speech. so that they're outstanding on the stage, because you want to be outstanding on the stage so that people automatically remember you, they're raving about you, they're referring you. But there's also this other, like this business side of speaking. And that's kind of what I'm talking about now with you. This asking for referrals, asking people, like, who else do you know? A number of years ago, my husband and I spent the winter down in West Palm Beach, and we were newly married, and I was determined to make a name for myself. And this was back when I was speaking on leadership and corporate engagement. I spoke to 30 Rotaries from West Palm Beach down to Fort Lauderdale, 30 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, like and that was all within a short period of time. So as I was going, and I really, really do love Rotaries. And if you listen to episode 301 on my podcast, it's one of my speaker circles where I talk about the 10 benefits of speaking at Rotaries and my strategy on how to find like the perfect Rotaries to speak to. I'm going to give you that as part of your homework assignment. You probably didn't think you were going to get homework, but you are.
Sounds good.
So I want you to listen to that episode, because Rotaries would be another lovely benefit. Not benefit. That would be another great resource and a place for you to go speak. They don't pay for their speakers, but again, you're just in the process of like, let me just start to build a name for myself.
Yes.
Can
I ask you a real quick question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, is there, well, I know there is a difference, but between like the Rotary groups and even like local like networking groups with like the Chamber of Commerce, would that kind of follow the same category, like speaking at one of those, or no?
Oh yeah, you can speak at chambers also, but
okay,
every town has maybe one chamber.
Yes.
Whereas Rotaries are literally international. They need a speaker for every single one of their meetings, morning, lunch, and just after work.
Oh, wow.
And Rotaries are filled with business owners and business leaders.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
So I totally get the like why you want to speak at chambers, because they're full of your entrepreneurs. But let's expand it a little bit. So the other business aspect that I was starting to dive into was that at the end of your talk at churches, at Rotaries, don't be afraid to say, I love speaking at Rotaries or at church groups. If you know of somebody in another church, in another Rotary, I would love the warm introduction so that I could be sharing this story and inspire more people.
Okay.
I literally did that in the Rotaries when I was speaking down in West Palm Beach, in that area, after I had done a few, because I literally fell in love with the Rotaries. And people came up to me and said, I can introduce you to this Rotary.
Oh, wow.
That's part of how I got into 30 different Rotaries, was also because of the help of my audience.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Let somebody else help you.
Exactly.
And again, like the speaking world really is a relationship business.
Okay.
You know, it is a long game, and it can also be a short game. You know, I'm going to be speaking at an event that is next month that's in person, and I'm filling in because for some reason the booked speaker isn't able to be there. I mean, I at least got a month's notice that they needed somebody, but I'm basically filling in. And that happens also. So again, it was about, I have a relationship with the person who's running this group.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I guess you always kind of like to put things in a box, like thinking that being a speaker is any different than any other business, but it all comes back to relationships.
Yeah, it really does. And do you have a website?
I do. Yes.
Great. And do you have a speaker page on that website?
I do.
Fantastic.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you, you need to go listen to episode 196, which is all about the 7 essential things that your speaker web page needs to have.
Okay.
And I do talk a little bit about how you can use your speaker page and also your podcast, how you can use them jointly.
Okay.
So
Powerful.
So you might get a few tips there. So here's what I got so far for you. We're going to try to get you into a Christian speaker bureau. But in order to do that, you need to start speaking. You need to you need to be outstanding on the stage so that they want to represent you. So building a relationship with somebody at these speaker bureaus is going to be one thing. And then I want you to start in your own backyard, start in your own church. If you've never spoken there, even if you have spoken there, Kevin, and it was a couple of years ago, you can come back.
Yes.
There's no reason why you can't come back and I've got a new message. I've got a new speech. Let me speak again. Let me share this message again. And then you can also be just honest with your pastor and like, hey, I need some video footage because I'm really trying to get into the speaking and I need really good video footage.
Yes. That's brilliant. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And depending on your church, because I've been in some like pretty big churches that are down in the Florida area and they've got amazing AV departments.
Yep.
I mean, I grew up in a Catholic church, so it was just the microphone at the front of the room. But, like nowadays, some of these churches have, screens. They've got, just great audio visual.
Yeah.
And
no, I mean
it's an ideal situation to record you.
Absolutely. No, I mean, that makes total sense. And you are so right. You're going to a place that's already equipped to make you look good. So
yes. A number of years ago, I was actually helping some of my clients and also anybody else because I was going to a Christian non-denominational church. And they were set up and I arranged for people to come in and you're going to get great video and also photographs of you being on a stage because their stage was just this black stage.
Yeah.
They had some colored curtains, but you wouldn't have known that it was a church.
Yes.
Yeah. So perfect situation. God, I haven't thought about that in a long time. So Kevin, do you have any questions for me?
I don't know. You have given me so much to think about. This has been amazing.
Okay, good. And I will send you an email that summarizes this call in a couple of days from now.
Okay.
And if you would just kind of give a shout out, I want to let our listeners know where they can find you, where they can follow you, where they can listen to your podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And so I think the best and easiest place to go is to the website. So my podcast is called Grit, Grace, and Inspiration. And so if you go to gritgraceinspiration.com, you can check out the podcast there. New episodes come out twice a week, every week on Tuesday and Thursday. And then right there on the same website, you can also find out more about me as a speaker. And you can maybe check it out and then go back and listen to those episodes you referenced and find out how bad of a job I did with my speaker page. But yeah, everything's right there on the website of gritgraceinspiration.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Are you tired of hearing crickets on social media? Wondering where to get seen by the right people? Or frustrated with the growth of your business? Then the Speaker Breakthrough Session is just for you. During this free 20-minute discovery call, I'll help you recognize where you're leaving money and opportunity on the table. You'll walk away with tips and a strategy to leverage speaking opportunities to get positioned as the expert, visible to the right people, and monetize your expertise. Book your call at speakandstandout.com/SBS for Speaker Breakthrough Session.